Everyone, and welcome to Obedient Family TV. The program now Hope Alive. Yes, Hope Day. Even for the people where they want deport from Germany, Hope Day. Plenty things we be say we won't talk today. I want make we go straight to the point of what we want talk. Number one, be say plenty things they happen for Imo State. And the things we be say they happen, we won't bring and come out, make obedience everywhere, know wetin dem fit do and how dem fit help Imolites and Imolites to help themselves. INEC chairman with him own people, dem don plan rigging, and the rigging wey dem dey plan, e be like say e dey different from the one wey dem rig last time. That one we won't expose am, make we show their plans, how dem dey take cook up, because dem don dey give signs, dey talk am. We come dey hear, and then we won't bring and come out. Two, the second thing wey we won't bring come, now some of the things wey we say e dey very very prevailing, like the one where one German man enter Nigeria last time, then take picture with Tinubu, then talk say the man come discuss business, bilateral, kiniko, all the things wey we say then talk for there. We no say the man come here make Tinubu for sign deportation about 14,000 Nigerians. 14,000 people, they won't carry them enter Niger. Where people they come out for this kind situation where we did. Now he say make them carry them come back. Another one where we won't carry come. Now one of the ministers where they the cabinet, whether now women affairs be her own, she talk say women go begin the drive tricycle for Niger, her own empowerment. We go see how I take feel about that very one. Then plenty other things where concern legal matters where our own UC Maxwell go carry enter from Zoom, explanate, give us. And not only me they talk all these things. I get Angel for studio, I get Princess for studio, and our own UC Maxwell we go do explanate, give us for Zoom.
Good day, my well-meaning Nigerians, my lovely and intelligent, obedient worldwide. Welcome. Tell your neighbor, say hope day, but not in our politicians or our leaders, but in God. Nigerians, be bold and fearless in the face of tyranny. Welcome on board. Let's discuss.
Greetings to all well-meaning Nigerians and fellow obedient worldwide. Welcome back to Hope Alive. INEC is so corrupt to be independent. And so to my fellow well-meaning Nigerians and obedient in Kogi State, Imo State, and Bayelsa, don't wait for the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will never give you the true democracy you deserve. You have the power in your hands to actually take it for yourself, and that power you will be displayed on Saturday. So go out and vote the right candidate on Saturday. Well, join us as we discuss.
Yes, so as you they join us, whether now for Zoom or whether you they join us for the comment section, make your like and thumbs up, make obedience and well-meaning Nigerians worldwide, make them know say Obedient Family TV is live now, and make them hear the plans where INEC get against our own people, because the people were there for Kogi and Imo State and also Bayelsa State, all of them now well-meaning Nigerians there. Now obedience plenty for those places. And the plans where INEC done the hash, we won't expose them, and we won't make them take cue from what we want talk today. So if you know say you want better thing to happen for Imo State, for Kogi State, and for Bayelsa State, make you for like and share. As we they open up these things, make them know the tricks where INEC chairman and his cohorts they deploy for this off-cycle election. So make we start. Princess, we'll just go direct to this thing before we go hit our own UC Maxwell for this thing. So INEC for Imo State and for Bayelsa State, then don't come out, open their mouth, koro, talk say they no want count vote for polling unit, but you get caveat where them put for inside. Then they talk saying now where violence they happen. Make I first hear your own before we get to our own UC Max, so we'll go analyze the thing according to the electoral guidelines, how law take talk am.
Okay.
But make we first take here.
When I found out about that, when I heard it, I was baffled. I just saw another chance for them to rig the election again. This is just a ploy for them to make it seem legal or maybe seem okay, and to the general masses they might be feeling like this is for their own good, but it's not. Because let's see it this way, imagine if every polling unit that experiences violence, they strike it out. Because according to what I read, they said it's going to be counted as 0. Meaning that whatever vote that comes from that place will be counted as null.
There's something now. I see it in a different way, because they said that it is not going to be counted. That is the trick that they are putting there. So if they are not counting it, maybe they are planning to count it at the area location, that is those collation centers. You understand me?
Exactly.
So those are the points that we need to look at.
Because that means if they are the ones that have the collated number of people, the polling units and all that, so by default they already know the units that might favor them. If I'm to say, the strongholds, and they also know the strongholds of the opposition parties.
Yes.
So they can actually say, okay, since we have got this law or this saying or whatever that no polling unit that experiences violence will be counted as 0, they can now, if they look at this polling unit and see, say, the thing they move forward for these people, they will just send some people to go and cause violence. The point is, let there be havoc in that area and it will be counted as 0. And if that happens, that means the strongholds of other parties can actually be counted as 0, because there might be one or two persons. Exactly. There might be 1 or 2 persons that will just come and cause havoc just to cancel the vote coming from there, because they already know that the precedence from this polling unit is high for the opposition party. Do you understand? So this is a very huge trick that they're bringing up to like make it look like they're for the people, but in essence they are actually against the people. Because if that happens, they might not even bring up the point of redoing the election again, as their guidelines said at the time. So this is just NJ, before I got to you, I saw something that Maxwell, UC Maxwell just posted. He says someone came to my DM and told me that this is a good development. He said, "Dear Bayelsans, believe INEC at your peril. If violence occurs, INEC will still count the votes. They've shown us their body language, and we know that the Yakubu Mahmoud-led INEC is not committed to a free, fair, and credible election. Listen and listen well. As you head to the polls on Saturday, be ready for any and everything. Watch every high-handedness with equal energy. Match every violence with equal energy. Defend your mandate. Swamp every collation center. And if you get any evidence of manipulation, take back your mandate. It is not business as usual. My Bible says that only the violence can take it by force." This one is from Maxwell. But before I get to Maxwell to position these things for us according to the Electoral Act and all of that, NJ, as he say, your mouth they do muy since. But before we enter studio, waiting you they talk against this very INEC plans is mostly that it's a plan that is stationed on the polling unit to disrupt the major where they see.
Kanu, the issue be say INEC Mahmoud, INEC chairman and cohorts, they want to do Nigerians. The more you look, the less you see. That's what they want to do. But Nigerians, when meaning Nigerians, our obedient, whether you dey for Imo, Bayelsa or Kogio, don't let them deceive us second time. Yes, once beaten, twice shy. Now we dey here. We can only take it by force. Even the Bible tells us, don't be too cold, because they will vomit you out from their mouth. Yes, we will be hot this time for them. No chances. Once you vote, stay there, count it, snap it. This thing will be open. Our studio will be open. Just send in. We will be here announcing it. No matter their evil plan this time, we are step not even one step, steps ahead of them. This time they will not beat us again.
Yes.
No matter their evil plan, we will overcome. Once you cast your vote, stay there. By all means, protect it. Even if they say, no password, no, don't allow them do anything. Write it, snap it, they must sign it.
Okay, let's get to Maxwell and see the implications of the Electoral Act on this. You see, Maxwell, as he say, we don't read this tweet where you talk, you say, make them take them by force and make them match violence by violence. Of course, I know you are not a violent person and you are not advising Obedient to be violent, but I suppose you are telling them to protect their mandate. So please tell us the implication of these very plans where INEC don't they hash small. Tell us how the thing they work according to the Electoral Act. Maxwell, I don't know.
Mr. Kanu, good afternoon to you. Can you hear me clearly?
Afternoon. Yes, afternoon. I hope you heard my question.
All right. Yes, I heard your question clearly. Good afternoon to well-meaning Nigerians worldwide, wherever you may be listening. Now, I am not a preacher of violence. I don't support violence of any kind. But in order for me to found the things I have said on the laws, I will tell you so that you know that what I am saying is according to the law. If you remember what happened in the 2023 general elections, there was a lady who was, who was assaulted. In fact, she was almost made to go blind on her left eyes or so, I think. And she had to go for treatment before coming back to the polling unit to vote. The Constitution under chapter 4 of chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution is to the effect that no person has the power to take the life of another person except in a manner that has been prescribed by the Constitution. Everybody has a right to life. However, you are allowed by law to defend yourself. Under the law, it is called self-defense. Please, am I still audible? I just want to be sure because my network has been messing up since today. So you have the right under the law to defend yourself from any attack, from any assault, from any battery, from any person. So my tweet is to the effect that anybody that is bringing violence to your polling unit, the law allows you to defend yourself. Don't allow yourself to be killed because of an election. Don't allow yourself to be harmed. Don't allow your eyes to be removed. Don't allow your legs to be amputated or your hands to be amputated because of elections. You have the right, you have the powers to defend yourself under the Nigerian Constitution. In relation to what I said, Mr. Kanu, the only reason why I will advance such a message is to the effect that we've seen a lot of things, we've seen a lot of manipulations that happened in the previous elections. And these previous elections have shown that INEC as an institution is not ready to give us, the kind of justice that we want. They are not ready to give us a free, fair, and credible election. So you will remember that they went ahead to several TV stations, they held press conferences, they released memo telling the general public that they were going to upload, that they were going to transmit results directly from the polling units to the IREV and to the collation system. Each and every one of us knows what happened thereafter. We saw that they didn't do this, they didn't upload, they didn't transmit, they didn't use the IREV. And the court went ahead to enforce such, manipulations by an institution that is supposed to be independent. So I am calling on Nigerians not to believe anything that Professor Mahmoud is going to tell you. Don't believe anything that Festus Okoye is going to tell you. Going into the election, read the laws that guide the election, the regulation and guideline for the conduct of elections. You read the Electoral Act of 2022 and several other laws. Read the judgments. You would be aware that IREV, they have rubbished the IREV. They have rubbished the system. So you need to defend your vote at the polling unit. Even after voting at the polling unit, I am calling on all Nigerians, be it at the Bayelsa election, at the Imo State election, at the Kogi State election, all the elections that are coming. Follow them, swamp the collation centers. Do not allow them effect all the manipulation we saw in the last election at the collation centers. I call on all the opposition parties that are participating in the election in Bayelsa State, particularly the Labour Party. If you are ready to win the state, if you are ready to collect the mandate of the people and lead the people, you need to be ready to also defend their votes. Send competent political party agents to these particular collation centers and ensure that nothing is allowed to happen there that relates to manipulation and fraud in that election. So it is very important for us to note these things going into the next election.
Okay, Maxwell, let's look at what the Electoral Act talk about, these sections, the section that pertains to these very particular things that they are talking about, whether it is lawful for them to do that or not. What sections are these? And if possible, we can be able to display that. We have section 93. Can you please help us to put us through on what the section 93 of the Electoral Act says?
All right, Mr. Kanu, it is very clear that, under our laws, sometimes the problem is not that we have bad laws. The problem is that we have failed to actually implement the laws. Not only section 93, there are several other sections that punishes violence in election. Like you can see from section 93, you can also look at section 128. But let us look at section 93 that is on the screen. That a party, a candidate, an aspirant, or a person, or a group, meaning that this provision encompasses every person, whether you are a participant in the election or you are not a participant, whether you are voting or you are not voting, whether you are a candidate, aspirant, whatever your status in an electioneering season, either as an individual or as a group, that you shall not directly or indirectly threaten any person with the use of force or violence during political campaigns in order to compel the person. We saw these things. We saw how MC Olumo went about threatening people during political campaigns, threatening people on election day. Nobody punished any person. In fact, it may interest you to know that the police chief, leaders of the police force, came to the TV, the police PPRO, and was defending these criminalities instead of instituting a legal action. It may interest you to also know, Mr. Kanu, that I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, of any person that has been prosecuted for election violence in the general elections. I don't know, to my knowledge. So we cannot continue like this. I think the producer can bring up section 128 also, and then we'll also look at section 142. So if INEC wants us to build that confidence in the electoral process, they should be able to punish people who are participating in electoral violence. It is very, very important and instructive for us to understand these things. Section 128 provides that a person who directly or indirectly, by his or herself or by another person, whether you do it by yourself or you go through another person or you do it on the behalf of another person, and you make use of or threaten people with force or violence and the rest, that you will be punished. These are the laws. You can also look at other provisions of the law like I have mentioned. So the laws are there, but we are not seeing any other thing from these people to even give people the confidence for us to come out. The place I would like to really emphasize in relation to what Yakubu Mahmoud have said is section 24 of the Electoral Act. So let us look at section 24, and of course section 128 have punishments with imprisonment, fine of 1 million naira, and all of these things are there, but nobody is being punished. Nobody is sent to prison. Nobody is taken to court. We cannot continue like this. Please put up section 24. When you look at section 24, it is very instructive.
We have 142 on this
for
screen.
the conduct and postponement. Okay, yeah. Okay, section 142 also provides that, the provision may prescribe a scale, a scale of remuneration for officers appointed under this. Section 142 basically have to deal with not bringing people who have political affiliations into election. So when you have people who have political affiliations in elections, what happens? when their party people are committing violence, nobody is going to stop them. We have already seen several appointments that have been made by Bola Tinubu to INEC. And these people have been shown, proven to be affiliates of the All Progressive Congress, the political party in power today. So these are the laws. What are we doing? There is a difference between what is and what ought to be. What is currently is not what ought to be. We have a clear violation of the provisions of the law. Let us look at section 24 very quickly as I round up this conversation about this publication by Professor Mahmood. See, we cannot continue trusting people by words. We need to trust them by words and by actions. If your actions are not matching up your words, there is no way that we can trust you going into the elections. It is very, very important and instructive to note. Now, section 24 of the Electoral Act provides that, subsection 1 provides that in the event of an emergency affecting an election, the commission shall, as far as practicable, ensure that persons displaced as a result of the emergency are not disenfranchised. To make sure that anybody who is displaced for whatever reason are not disenfranchised. I talked about the lady who was attacked in Lagos State, where her eyes was almost blinded. There are several people who also suffered such attacks that may not even come out to the public. Let us look at subsection 2 of that same section. It provides that where a date has been appointed for the holding of an election, and there is reason to believe that a serious breach of the peace is likely to occur if the election is preceded on that date, and or it is impossible to conduct the election as a result of natural disasters or other emergencies, the commission may postpone the election and shall, in respect of the area or areas concerned, appoint another date, very instructive, another date for the holding of the postponed election, provided that such reason for the postponement is cogent and verifiable. We can see here clearly that if INEC have a reasonable belief that, okay, election is next week, there is possibility of a natural disaster, or there have been a natural disaster today, even though elections is next week, and it is no longer feasible, it is no longer practicable for us to hold election in this area where this particular thing happened, we need to postpone it. If they decide to postpone that election, the law is saying, it is not UC Maxwell that is saying, the law is saying that INEC shall appoint another date. The usage of the word shall makes it mandatory for INEC to appoint another date for the holding of that particular election that have been postponed. Let us also look at subsection 3. It provides that where an election has commenced. Now, the last subsection I talked about, subsection 2, talks about before the election comes, before the election. But now, subsection 3 is talking about in the event of the election, where an election has commenced, meaning that it has started, and there is reason to believe that there is or there has been substantial disruption of election in a polling unit or constituency, or it is a, you see, the words here are very, very important for us to note. I will highlight these words after reading it. And it is impossible to continue with the election occasioned by threat to peace and security of electoral officials and materials. The commission shall suspend the election and appoint another date for the continuation of the election or the process. Mr. Kanu, what are the words used in this particular section? It says that either in a polling unit or a constituency, meaning that, meaning that it is possible to suspend an election in a polling unit or in an entire constituency if there is reason to believe that there will be violence, or there has already been violence that is already happening or that has happened. The commission may suspend that election. And if they choose to suspend that election due to threat to peace and security of either the voters, electoral officials, or electoral materials, that they must, as a matter of compulsion, by the usage of the word shall in that provision of the law, that they shall suspend, and then appoint another date for the continuation of the election or the process. It is a violation of the provisions of the law that I have just stated, Mr. Kanu, for the INEC chairman to tell us that they will mark 0 for a particular constituency or for a particular polling unit where election was marred by violence. It is not the provision of the law. If you also look at it, subsection 4 is to the effect that where INEC has decided to provide for another date, you understand, that you shall not return anybody. You shall not declare the winner of such election. You shall not say, now this person carried this, now this person carried this, now this person win. You will not declare anybody, you will not return anybody until all of those polling units where those threats of violence or violence have been, you know, an election have been conducted there. This is the provision of the law. Now, it is evident, it is very evident that the statements of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu are not clear. Is he writing 0 because nobody voted there, or is he writing 0 because there was violence there? We need to be sure going into the election. And the reason I'm saying this is very simple. We know what happened during the last election with the many things that they told us and how they changed the goalpost in the middle of the game. Nigerians are not foolish. Nigerians are not oblivious of the actions of political parties, you know, the government in power. So this is it. However, to also highlight, there's a place under this same provision, under section 24, that provides that if you look at section 5, that the commission may, if satisfied that the result of the election will not be affected by the voting in the area or areas in respect for which subsidiary days have been appointed, direct that a return of the election be made. What this place is simply saying is, if there is violence in this polling unit and it is cancelled, you need to hold and you must hold an election. However, and that is why this law is even contradicting itself. In subsection 2 and subsection 3, it has already made it mandatory for another election to be held. But subsection 5 is now saying that INEC have the liberty, if they see that, for instance, in this polling unit, there is only 500 votes, and Mr. A is already leading Mr. B with 1 million votes. So it means that 500 votes cannot change the election. So they can decide not to hold the election in that place. But let us look at it from a big picture, Mr. Kanu. If you bring the cumulation of all of these polling units, not one polling unit. So if polling unit A, there was violence, there is 500 voting there. Polling unit B, there are about 500 voters, like that, plenty polling units. You need to cumulate all of them and be sure that the numbers do not meet up before you decide not to hold the election. If not, you must hold another substituted election in that polling unit before you proceed to announce anybody or make any return in that election of the law.
Thank you very much, Maxwell. Another thing where I want to make you help us tell us how you feel about now, in the last election of that is the gubernatorial election of general, we asked obedience and well-meaning Nigerians worldwide and people who are in Nigeria, especially at the polling units where they went to cast their votes, to actually volunteer as obedience reporters. So meaning that in these 3 states that INEC is going to hold the election on, we have set up a link that is also in this very particular video in the comment section, I believe, where they could actually register to become a reporter. That is real time on Saturday. So whether you are in Bayelsa or you are in Imo State or you are in Kogi, you could report what is happening at your polling unit at real time with video. If you have a camera that can be able to transmit, we'll give out the Zoom link as on Saturday or before Saturday once you fill in this very form. You think it's a nice thing to checkmate what is happening at different polling units so that at the end of the day, we should be able to give account of what has happened at different polling units across the 3 states. Maxwell, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I heard you. This is a welcome development going into the elections. I must state that the last elections have taught us a lot of lessons. Anybody who participated in the last election must have learned a lot from that election. Number one is not to even trust the words of INEC. So you don't need to trust anything they are telling you. Make sure you go out there and vote and do everything that you need to do. Another one is the fact that there is a need for us to put in the public place the events of the election. Because these people, after rigging elections, they go to the world to tell them that we conducted a free, fair, and credible election, lying to the whole world, telling them the true events that happened, telling them the degree of violence that occurred. Mr. Kanu, you saw the ECOWAS report, you also saw the EU report. So there was recorded cases of violence, there was recorded cases of ballot snatching, and a lot of these things. So it is a welcome development for people to leverage technology to put our elections out there for the world to see, for Nigerians to see and follow up as these events happen. So it is very, very important, and it is a welcome development. So I would ask everybody to learn it. I'll say this here, Mr. Kanu. It's unfortunate that parties, political parties that are actually vying for office and have credible candidates are not doing so much for them to win elections. If you want to win elections in Nigeria, you have to go out. There is a need. You need to create, in fact, you have to leverage it as much as possible. What is the link between your political party agents and, how do you get documents from them? How do you get duplicate copies from them? So it is not just even a case of uploading the pictures. Make sure you have that nexus. This is an advice, of course, to the Delta State Labour Party. Make sure that you have a good link with these people so that at the end of the day, they can return duplicate copies for you in case you need to, go to the court to litigate on this issue. Because we've seen the attitude of the court regarding election petitions and the attitude of INEC. INEC goes ahead to defend the people who they are fraudulently giving authority and power to. So we need to actually be prepared if we are ready to, turn Nigeria around. It is very, very important, very, very important. And any way that would actually embed technology in our electoral process is highly welcome and a good development.
Yeah, so Maxwell, talking about your proposal that you are not doing enough, I can see that PO has been going around with I think the Nathan Achonu, that is the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party across the nooks and crannies of Imo State. We saw yesterday they had a grand finale, and it was just awesome that so much people have been briefed about what they spoke so much. We'll get to that very video quite later. But I think Labour Party, especially on Imo State, are doing so much. What do you think?
Yes, I can say for sure that I have had the opportunity to follow up with the events in Imo State. It's an election that I also have an interest in, but they can do better. They can do better. Like I have said, they have to make sure that they have that connection with their various political party agents, not just at the political level. We saw what happened at when they were announcing, the results there. We saw how active Dino Melaye was, how he stayed walkout on. So you need these kinds of people to man these polling units and create a link. And not only that, you have to leverage the people. The Labour Party have a lot of advantage over every other political party out there. I can
Okay, I think we're having a break in transmission. Let's take a listen to what PO said at Imo State, where they were having this very gubernatorial grand finale. Let's take a listen. We'll come back now.
Papa, Mama, Pikin, Ndozobo, even though Ganese. So Jebe Binyake Megini, Papa, Mama, Peking, because we care for the people. Thank you, and God Almighty bless you. Kabab Dalu, the incoming governor. We have to introduce the incoming.
Agwara m unu agwa na onwe onye ga-akpatụ vootu unu aka. Ọkwụ na ahụra na otu ihu atụrụ m aka n'ihu yesterday ma chụpụ kọmishọn. Ngwa kọrọ m aka. And ebe a na-akpọ Tiger Base hara asụghị ụmụaka anyị edismantle ọla m ya.
Onye ahụ kwuru ujudu ihe ọ gaghị acha anya.
Biko biko agwara m unu na m ga-akpọta ndị polisi 10,000 ọkwa eziokwu ma agwakwa unu na m ga-akpọta ndị amị kpọta DSS karịrị akarị so that onye ọbụla bịara ịgara ballot box akụtuo ya. Ọkwa unu hụrụ ndị niile ebu amọtka tanka na-akparị ọwụ unu ka ha chụga obi si unu ike ka unu pụta bịa tụọ vootu. Ọkwụ nnanụ obi si onye ọbụla ike ha bịara m kpọrọ ha bịara protect the process. Labour Party nna anyị ukwu president kwuru mgbe anyị gara campaign ọsọ ekwu unu nkwa unu detu so that I may one unu ama akara anyị ya. Ọkwụnụ hụ ihe our brother gọọsị otu imere na-abịa nke m ga January. So otu m shiri gwa unu unu ga-ahụ ihu ya wu local government autonomy and security. Ọkwụ nnanụ enwe ese anyị ga-eti ikwu ọkụ otu ihu anyị bara kpam abido rụwa ọrụ ọkụ. Before 12 months ọkụ ga na-enwe everywhere. And then ihe ndị ọzọ m kwere nkwa abatawa Imo airport a ga-emepekwa ya otu ihu m bidoro. So ihe ndị ọzọ nwayọọ nwayọọ a na-efix ya. Ọ ga-adịrị unu mma. Onye ọbụla lekwara Saturday abịa na Saturday atụ ọkwa the 10 and 20 men put army ọkwa okay elele otu ndụ 42 people ga-echi dị emeri anyị ọ dị possible. So unu ga-anọ eduru the destiny eduru ya ga nga na-erekọdụ ya na word collection erekọdụ chaya moto ga-adọ ebe ahụ ga-ebu ụmụ okorobịa ga-eso the Britain apụ gaa na local government collection center. From there edoere moto atọ in each local government collection center ga-esokwe burukwe ka aha eburu ya gaa gbara ọkpụrụkpọ ga-anọcha n'ime. Unu ga-ahọpụtacha ndị vileji siri ike mgbe a mụrụ dịka na mba ka emere gịnị. So esi na local government anduri state collection center na-aga ndị amị ga na-eso unu n'akụkụ ma ndị police ma ndị DSS ma ndị ọkwụ na m na-ekwu anyị meriele nna m anyị meriele ọlaala no more bloodshed, no more bloodshed, no burning of houses, only development.
Labour Party's preparation, they seem very, very prepared in Imo State. And let's hope that they are also very prepared. So coming back to you, Angel, you don't hear all the things where this man talk, all the package and everything where he promised say he could do. Plus the security where he won't provide on Saturday.
He's
you
more
think
than
say
ready.
Yes,
ready? The incoming governor is more than ready. He will beat Ozodinjo at his own. That is at his own game. No matter their evil plan.
Recall that last time the Uzodinma Hope that you are talking about came last, I think, fourth. So he's not even like a contender, even this time. But what he has been planning that we know, like he has hired all the whole hotels in Owerri to calm the people who are going to cause violence. You understand me?
Mr. Kanu, you know the difference between this year's own and that year he came forth? He's now in charge of the state finance. You get? But this our Labour incoming governor will beat him at his own game, because all those strategies they used, he has put security in each of them. Vehicle, not one person going, about 10 or more. They can't intimidate 10 people at once. It's not possible.
But remember
some
that
people
they
will be videoing it,
but remember,
showing evidence.
Recall that 2 days ago they made attempt to shoot his convoy. They have been
yes, that's why he said at his own call they removed the commissioner of police. They changed him. So it shows that he has the same connection Uzodinma have.
Okay, and to even show that these people are actually planning earnestly to rig these things, and like they're putting their plans in place already. We saw I think yesterday or so, when they had their stakeholders meeting, INEC called for a stakeholder meeting in Imo State and called all the parties for the stakeholder meeting. We found out that what's his name, Honorable Ikago Kenneth, that came in place of Yakubu Mahmood, asked the media personnel, the media people in the meeting to put off their cameras during the meeting. As he said, okay, this meeting is open now. The next thing that followed his mouth was, okay, all the media officials here should put off their cameras. There will be no cameras allowed during the meeting. For what reason? Why? Well, if you know that what you have in plan for these elections are going to be free, fair, and going to be very as transparent as possible, why are you asking the media personnel to turn off their camera? Do you understand? And this caused a very big havoc. Like, it was really rowdy during the meeting. Video? Yes, there is, and it was very rowdy because these people were asking, "It's not possible. Why will you look at the one that happened in the presidential? There, even with the video, there is still problem. It's now when you now say don't bring any video. What? I don't understand.
Okay, they have hidden agenda.
Let's have a listen to what they have to say in that very meeting that you are talking about. Let's take a listen.
We will plead with the media. I know you are participants, you are part of this meeting, but I think at this point, if you please excuse us with your camera, just sit down and participate. Let's go to the business of the day.
There's nothing secret about what we're doing. There's absolutely nothing secret about what we're doing. Don't do that, please.
The media, please.
No.
You are.
No! There's absolutely nothing wrong with what
the media has to cover everything we're doing here.
With what we are doing.
Why would you want the media to
cover? The media must cover what we are doing. We are not running a secret society. This is about elections.
Why do you want the media to cover?
We are not running a secret society.
What are you hiding?
In fact, that is a sign that there is something wrong. Why are you watching out the media?
Why are you watching out the media?
Imo State, Hope Uzodinma is trying to take it by force, and the other oppositions are trying to do their best to make it work. Now, Maxwell, coming to you, I have two questions actually. One has to deal with the man that came from Germany there supposedly to sign agreements with Nigeria and also meeting Tinubu. It came out that this man actually came to Nigeria to sign deportation orders for about 14,000 Nigerians. And that is one. But Before your mic had issues, you were talking about Imo and other states candidates not being ready and all of that. But we have seen that the Imo state people seem to be ready as the candidate of the Labour Party there, the Senator Nathan Atan Achono, said clearly that he has positioned vehicles and more carriers and all of that. Do you really think that this is possible coming from him to be able to withstand Hope Uzodinma?
I think so, very well. I can say, like I was speaking before my network went off, I can say that Labour Party have an advantage over the rest of the people. They have an obedience movement behind them that is ready to act without even being asked to act. So you have people, during the presidential election, I was not a Labour Party assigned party agent, but I represented them in my polling unit because I needed to defend my vote. The idea of providing vehicles at different stages of collation is very, very welcome. It is a great idea and very important. You need to be able to transport your agents from one level to another, or you bring different agents for different levels. It is very important that these things are done, because if you don't monitor all the activities and also bring them to the court, remember that in the election, there were a lot of things that the court said. Any place that you record any manipulation and the rest, bring that particular agent. That is why they need to have a directory of all their agents. Bring the person to the court to come and testify, so that it will not be hearsay evidence. So what he is doing, I can say a lot of preparedness. I saw, of course, in his campaign, he was there with Peter Obi. He was also there with OT. So themselves in leadership, and they can garner support for Atan. The next thing is to begin to implement all these ideas. Defending the vote is the priority, because campaigns are over, the elections are already here, campaigns are almost over. So if they can defend their votes, then it's welcome. Then to your second question about the deportation order, to my knowledge, I think the number is about 14,000 people, you can correct me if I am wrong, that have been deported or that are about to be deported to Nigeria. This is insane, Mr. Kanu. Now, if you look at an average Airbus, an average flight, which should house about 200 and something people, we are talking about, I think, say, how many flights? About 40 something flights that will be bringing Nigerians back to their country as like they are being deported. It is an insult to our collective establishment as a country. It is an insult to our nation. It is an insult to our youth. It is an insult to the government of the day. It is just now that the news came out that they are being deported that we knew, or that we began to rethink that these people were actually at the presidential villa or in Nigeria, that's the representatives of Germany, to discuss the deportation issues. What are the problems? Remember also that just last year, UAE closed her borders to Nigerians. They closed their borders. In Dubai, you cannot go out there and get a job as a Nigerian. These are the difficulties that we continue to experience all over the world. Why is it happening? It cannot be far-fetched. It is linked to the kind of leadership we have in Nigeria,